He was an ice sculptor by trade, and every day he made new friends and every day they melted away. He wasn't the most talented, so he was employed mostly when the talented wouldn't work, so the summer was the busiest for his business, and in the dizziness of his mixed shifts his loneliness was easily dismissed. But in the winter, as silver layers of ice and snow covered the ground, his creations came to life, and in his work his heart could be found. As great grey clouds veiled the sky, plunging the whole world into darkness, light prevailed through his crystal creation, so where locked doors and curtains drawn summarized the nation, his passion could not be stored behind four walls. Across frozen lakes and down icy streams he danced night and day with his figurines, no longer separated from the work of his hands but united by nature, tied in by a temporary forever to the statues of winter. And yet, as the snow sets after a storm, he reached the peak of his happiness and began to get back to the norm of feeling lonely, wondering if only a snowy lady could float down as unique as the flakes around her, designed specifically for him, then just maybe he could cope with the long hours of carving out glass flowers designed specifically for her. It was the creative dream of a creator who'd seen his creation steam away under the merciless heat of the sun, but now it was winter. So this man of little mastery managed to master his artistry, and where he'd imagined the craft and beauty was past his puny hand's ability, now stood before him was a beautiful woman with cool, frosted hair and a piercing, icy stare that could shatter even the condensed air that he managed to squeeze out in between worn-out puffs. Her elegance fell against his emptiness, like how elephants huddle for defense against the elements. They were bound together by the necessity of their circumstances. One needed the other to be alive, and the other needed the one to make living justified. His Arctic princess was god-esque, but not a goddess. Because although people came from distances untold of and told of how she sent chills that made them feel warmer, he'd still feel tortured, wondering if he could improve on her. And it was that chip on his shoulder that led him to chip at her shoulders. One correction meant two defections, and soon perfection fell through detection, so his aggression took new direction, and in a matter of moments, she lay shattered on the floor. His heart was frozen, and it wasn't until after the heat of the moment that he started to focus. Without speaking, he picked up her shards and carried her outside. In the spring morning sun she started leaking, and all of her scars were hidden in her liquid disguise. He was an ice sculptor by trade, and every day he made new friends, and every day they melted away.